INFJs, quiet, reserved, keep to ourselves, can kind of move around like a ghost when we want to. So, there are times when an INFJ is unhappy and you may not know it. You know, Unlike INFJ rage, which can, burn the bitch down, so to say, an unhappy INFJ, there can be signs that aren't seen. INFJs can be secretly unhappy. And that's the topic of this video, how to tell if an INFJ is secretly unhappy. And there's certain things to look for, Number one being the INFJ will be unusually impulsive. INFJs in a stress-free zone are typically careful, observant, and very insightful. We don't like to make sudden decisions because we want to analyze the implications of every choice we make and overthink it a bunch of times. Find every possibility, the whole differential diagnosis kind of thing. It's both our intuition and our logical side at the same time. However, when an INFJ is severely stressed, the opposite can be true. INFJs can become more impulsive, reckless, and hurried in our decisions. We may rush people around and become unusually impatient. We might splurge. INFJs are usually pretty responsible with money. We might splurge and spend money, on sensory objects. Basically, you know, be the other side of the coin. Another big one, and this was one I've definitely experienced, will be constantly tired. When an INFJ is getting into their regular flow, or state of being inspired, just wanting to get out there, things are going good, their plans moving along fine. We'll have tons of energy and optimism for the future. However, when we're depressed and uninspired or hopeless, we'll feel fatigued and drained, and, why bother? INFJs without a vision for the future feel listless and apathetic, as if we're lost in a fog, kind of on autopilot, just going through the motions. Like, what's the point? The same routine every day, and the same routine sucks, and everything I'm doing is just perpetuating the same status quo to, a slow march, meaningless death kind of thing. We may sleep whenever we can in this state, slack on our responsibilities, or just shut down. Another big one, having to do with an unhealthy INFJ and how they interact with other people is they will ghost you. If you're friends with an INFJ and they suddenly ghost you when they normally have been pretty good at responding to you, as good as we get, because INFJs aren't the best on a phone ever. But if we're completely ghosting you, and there's not like a legit reason, people do get busy from time to time. But if, like I said, if the INFJs has no purpose and they're just drifting through life, they're probably ghosting you. So INFJs feel a lot of responsibility for their relationships and will often put others' needs ahead of their own. We tend to do this for a long time, and then suddenly, out of the blue, we can go dark, withdraw from people completely, even those close to us. This isn't a personal thing. I'm saying when an INFJ is ghosting you, just out of nowhere, they're probably ghosting everybody. So, in this state, we just don't feel like interacting. We feel like a burden to others, like the mental state we're in. We feel like we can't be around people and don't want to bring other people down. So we just kind of self-impose exile on ourselves. Another big point, and this one, in my opinion, is the worst. We see no future. A healthy INFJ spend a great deal of time thinking about the future, forecasting how things will happen, and imagining the things they hope will come to fruition. Love it. Introverted intuition, looking towards the future, hoping it's right. Keeps you going. Unhappy INFJs feel like the future is shrouded in darkness. We feel stressed and incapable of imagining how events will unfold, which is scary as shit to an INFJ. If we can't foresee not exactly what will happen, but the possibilities of what is likely to happen, or at least could happen, scary, terrified. If you ask an INFJ where would you like to be in 5 years, that INFJ will probably get flustered and annoyed. A healthy INFJ, in contrast, usually has, a pretty well thought out plan that is possible as to where they'd like to be in 5 years. If you would have asked me, in June of 2020, my 5 year plan, it would have been very articulate, believable, and I would have gave you a step-by-step plan that would have led to me making lieutenant in the fire department, obviously. Another sign of an unhealthy INFJ is we're always around people. As INFJs, we're introverts, arguably ambiverts, but, still on the introvert spectrum, albeit as far over on the extrovert level of the introvert spectrum as an introvert can be. That made sense. If our schedule is jam-packed with social engagements, chances are an INFJ is going to be stressed. It's like a battery. We can only handle so many social events at a time before we need time to recharge. It can be draining. It can be overwhelming. Uh, a high amount of like obligational social interaction that we really don't want to do with people that we don't have deep conversations with, that's very small talk and surfacey level, bad. Overwhelms us. Makes us feel out of touch with who we are. And if we're always around people trying our best, and we're not good at it, to pretend like we're enjoying something we're not, yeah, that's a sign of an unhealthy INFJ. Another big one, can't concentrate. INFJs have great skills of concentration. We enjoy focusing on one thing at a time and diving deep into the analysis and introspection of that thing, person, goal, place, what have you. Going deep, knowing all the information, finding out all the possibilities, and wanting to know more. It's fun, and it's a curse at times too. But when an INFJ is stressed or depressed or has PTSD, it's difficult for them to focus on any one thing. They may feel urgent need to shut off in terms of sleeping, watching TV, or otherwise distracting themselves with something, that'll just distract them. Like, instead of thinking deep on something, they may watch the South Park post-COVID special just to try to detach. I'm not saying, yeah. All right, another one. Detached from critical thinking, and they're critical and detached as a person. So stressed or unhappy INFJs are often tired of trying to make people feel good. This is real bad when we stop wanting to help people. It probably means we've lost all hope and have no purpose and feel we have no point of getting up in the morning. It's a terrible feeling. We stop caring what people think and think about blending in socially. In fact, we may feel a sense of relief in laying out criticisms, nitpicking other people's statements, or even starting a debate over the logic of something. So we'll pick verbal fights with people. In other words, we'll feel all hope is lost, and we'll call people out regardless of the implications it may have on us, and not in the sense that it's the right thing to do and somebody has to do it. I'm saying in the sense of we don't care, just burn it all down. All the lies, all the hypocrisy, all the double standard, all the two-facedness. Like, even if nothing will be resolved, I have no hope, so just burn it down. Expose everybody for what they are, kind of thing. And an INFJ in this state is like, all my doing good, all my integrity, my honesty, everything was for nothing. I'll be damned if a bunch of hypocrites and liars and cheaters and, sexual deviants who exploit people are going to hide who they truly are. And we just call them out and let the cards fall where they may. What will be, and what will be should be. It's not a pretty sight if you've never seen it. Not that I've definitely done that in the past. Yeah. So while, an INFJ in this state may not seem overly angry or emotional during these phases, chances are they're feeling stifled and inhibited. Yeah. Words are hard. You can discover more about this in detail if you read. I've found deeper views into this state in certain articles about NITI loops. Typically, an INFJ will be in one if they're going to do something like this. An INFJ who is unhealthy, it is very likely that we may be in a state of depression, and just for that reason, signs of that would be fatigue, changes in eating habits, sleeping habits, irritability, lack of enthusiasm for the future. That's a big one for us. Disinterest in things you normally enjoy, thoughts of hopelessness or even suicide, anxiety, irritability, and a fixation on death. So, those are some signs that an INFJ is, unhappy, in an unhealthy state, and they're trying to not make it obvious. They're trying to just grind through their day to day that they absolutely despise but feel they have no control over, kind of thing. In other words, me when I was an assistant golf course superintendent. Those were fun years. But these are what you look for. My only best advice is pull said INFJ aside, talk to them one-on-one, and ask the INFJ to tell you what he or she really feels. Whatever you do, don't tell them platitudes. You'll get the rage. You tell an unhealthy INFJ that platitudes about how everything's fine and it's the way it's supposed to be, and to just smile and keep going on the same path of misery. You're gonna get the fury. You're gonna see fury like you've never seen, and it's gonna be real. So please trust your intuition. If you think you see an INFJ who's secretly unhappy, try to help them if you can, and understand, when an INFJ gets that unhealthy, they may even sell out their integrity if they truly feel there's no hope. I've never been to that point, but I've read that it is possible. So please like and subscribe. Try to help others when you can. Try to help this channel grow so this information can reach other people and hopefully help others.